be such a thing as Christian terrorists? I'll answer that question now. Alright. Yeah, there can be. You could say, oh, the Crusades, those are Crusaders, those guys were fucking terrorists. They went and conquered the Holy Land for God. Alright, Lord, inspire our people to create terror in the hearts of the evil globalists and Satanists. Amen. Yeah. Just to let you know, I'm not encouraging terrorism, but Jewish people, Christians, early Christians were many Jewish people. They had been taken into slavery. If you look at the Roman Empire right now, that Arch of Titus, it's like the Arc de Triomphe in France. The Arch of Titus was the victory arch that I think he marched his army through when... Now, I'm not sure if the army was allowed in Rome, because that was the whole thing about Caesar. He crossed the Rubicon with his army, and once you crossed the Rubicon, there was no turning back. You're now in civil war. So that's the crossing the Rubicon, which is a river. It's almost like crossing the Rio Grande. You're in America. So crossing the Rubicon, you were, I guess, in the Roman province. So if you brought a military as a military leader, that was meant you were declaring war on the nation state, or you're trying to take over in a military coup, which may or may not happen in Brazil in the near future, because the Brazilian elections appear... You're not allowed to talk on this on YouTube. They've already warned us. And I got that strike back where they took my strike away, but I don't give a fuck. Fuck these people at YouTube. I mean, you can say whatever you want. No, he's not a Christian. He uses swear words. He's terrorizing the people at YouTube. These people are terrorized by the truth. That's the fact. Look what's happening with Elon Musk. He's releasing people to say whatever they want, and they're like, they're hurting my feelings. They don't like what they say. That's the sign of free fucking speech, okay? As a Jewish person growing up, my dad was very supportive of the Nazis marching in Skokie, Illinois, which was a really Jewish community. And he said, listen, if we don't stand up for free speech for everyone, then they can take it away from anyone. And that's our God-given right, Bill of Rights, unalienable. It means it can't be taken away from you, ever. It was God-given, not granted to you by some special proclamation. I'm trying to set on my 420 right there. So, are Christians terrorists? Hell yeah, we terrorize the shit out of the globalists, out of the Satanists, out of the pedophiles. And let me tell you, Kim Kardashian is a piece of shit. Because Ye exposed these people as corrupt, and they exposed themselves as MAPs, minor attracted people. And it seems as if it's the whole luxury brand thing. These very wealthy elite people, whether they're kings of countries, princes, or heads of business, or heads of studios, entertainment leaders, they all seem to have a weird predilection for killing children, very supportive of abortion, and very much for sexualizing children. This crazy dude, again, a Jewish guy. I don't know why they pick all these Jewish people to do awful stuff, but a guy named Yoel Roth, who President Trump called out in May of 2020 as being the guy who is censoring everyone on Twitter. He was fired by Elon Musk recently, and he's a gay guy, and I don't give a poop whether you're homosexual or not. You want to put a penis in your mouth or in your butt, that's your business. Or put your penis in some guy's mouth or butt, that's your business. Nobody wants to care or know about it. But when you take that and put it in the public sphere, you're taking your own perversion and putting it onto others. And this guy had gotten his doctorate from a really prestigious university, in something like Grindr Studies, which is a homosexual application on the internet, and he was a real sexual pervert, a real anti-American asshole, and just an un-American communist. And he can sue me all he wants for saying that. I think there's enough evidence out there to prove what I'm saying is true. And besides, nobody watches my stuff. Hopefully one day somebody will, and I can have a positive influence. But my theme today, or my theme in this episode, do Christians commit terrorism? And I say yes, we terrorize the shit out of governments, including the ancient Roman government. So their Arch of Titus, they conquered Israel. They burned the temple and they stole the temple goods. And the Vatican still has it to this day. And they marched it through Rome with 30,000 Jewish slaves. Many of those Jewish slaves became Christians, early Roman Christians, and helped convert many Italians to Christianity. They were originally put to death, killed by lions in the Colosseum, because they were enemies of the state, because God, Jesus, was their king. They said, "You shall have no king but Caesar." Caesar is God on earth. And these people couldn't be stopped because they had no fear of death. They kept killing them, and instead of them disappearing and going away, more and more people were inspired by their faith. Therefore, the Roman Empire is the same empire that rules the world today. There's no difference between the modern global order and the Roman world order. Oh, obviously there's differences, but it's a descendant. We are direct descendants of that system. It's a continuation that started with the Assyrian Empire, the city of Ashur, and they conquered their own mother city, Babylon. Babylon was the greatest city, but the Assyrians had Nineveh, and years later, the city of Nineveh, this is the one that Jonah didn't want to go preach at. And one of the reasons he went the total opposite direction, one, they were the enemy of Israel, but two, they were vicious killers, baby killers. They skinned people alive. They ripped and quartered people as punishment. And so he didn't want to go there and be tortured. He's coming them to tell them they're wrong and that they needed to change their evil ways. That's what God told them to do. And he went to dart the opposite direction as far as he could go. And God wouldn't let him get away. He had a storm. A storm came in his life. And he was calm in that storm because he knew God had a mission for him. So he was obstinate, sleeping under deck. Everyone's crying, worrying, throwing shit overboard, saying, "We're going to die." And here's a guy sleeping. They're like, "What the hell's going on?" And he says, "Well, it's because of me. There's this storm." And they draw lots, and he loses because God uses lots sometimes, which is drawing sticks and getting the short stick, the short end of the stick. And so they threw him overboard, and it calmed the storm, and he was swallowed up by a whale and saved, and somehow spit up on the shore near Nineveh 3 days later. And that's why Jesus said, "Only sign that I give of my Christhood, my messiahship, my anointing, is the sign of Jonah," because he said the whole Old Testament was written about him. So each of the stories in the Old Testament is somehow prophetically linked to the actual life of Yeshua. For example, Joseph, who is the person who saves the Israelites, and there's 75 of them. Oh, that was the other thing I found in my studies. There were 75, not 70 people who came to Egypt at the time as a family and then left as a nation. I'm hearing noises outside, so I'll try and ignore that. Are Christians terrorists? Okay, well, I'm going to get back to the prophecy. So, Joseph didn't reveal himself to his own Jewish brothers until their second coming. The first time he came, he blessed them, He gave them the sustenance for life, and he sent them away. And then when they came the second time, and not even right away, until he had eaten with them, and then threatened their brother, and seen the fact that they as a people had come together, did he not reveal himself the second time? And so that may be prophetic of the first and second coming as well, because he says, everything is written about me. So the sign of Jonah, when he was 3 days in the whale, dead for 3 days before he was reborn, and then came and saved the people of Nineveh and got them to convert from their evil ways and gave them more time before God eventually did destroy them. So the history of the empires is based on the Assyrian Empire conquering Babylon, Babylon eventually coming back and conquering Assyria to rule the world, then eventually Cyrus the Great slipping under the gate the night when Daniel saw the writing on the wall, "Mene, mene, tekel parcel, you've been weighed and measured and found lacking, and you will lose your kingdom in a night." And it happened because he was drinking from the vessels from the temple, the same articles that are now in the possession of the Vatican in Rome. Okay? So, what happens? The Persians rule the world from Babylon, but eventually a young man named Alexander, a Macedonian, unites the Greek people. And because of the misguided attempt to subjugate the Greeks into the Persian Empire, these very independent city-states all banded together and conquered the Persian Empire. And so now the Greeks ruled the world, and they ruled it from Babylon. Eventually, after Alexander's death, the kingdom was divided into 4 parts, as was predicted by Daniel the prophet, probably some of the other prophets too. And part of those legacy empires affected the Jewish people because the Greeks ruled in Jerusalem for a long time until the Maccabees overthrew them, which created Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights that even the Messiah referred to at some point. So they overthrew the Greeks, but then invited in the Romans. And the Romans, although they had a global empire, conquered Babylon, didn't rule from Babylon. They ruled from Rome and from Constantinople, which is Istanbul. And they divided their kingdom into an eastern and western half to make it easier to rule, because they didn't have the internet and telephone. They still had great transportation and communication, but the wealth transfer was taking place from the west to the east at that time. And the money, the luxury, the quality of life was better in what's now modern day Turkey. So the empire moved that direction. When Rome as an empire collapsed in the west, it actually continued as the Byzantine Empire in the east. And in the west, you saw different, colonies of Rome rise up to become powerful. Germania, Londinium, the Gauls and the Franks, the Visigoths who were in Spain, and the Vandals. All of these Roman colonies, Roman conquered locations had their chance at being a global empire too. The Portuguese, the Dutch, the Spanish, the Germans, the British, and they continued in the same mode. We're going to build an empire. We're going to colonize. We're going to create global trade. And the ones who've been the most successful out of all of those empires are the British Empire. And even though the British Empire doesn't seem as powerful today, culturally, they're more powerful than any other empire, because the British Commonwealth, the British common law, and it's another kingdom on this planet, a worldly kingdom that has done some really great things as well as some evil things, just like America. We are a great, great nation, one of the greatest nations in the history of the world. We believe in individual rights and we support religious freedom. And we're kind of based on Christian principles, which has made us a great and wealthy nation. But we're not perfect either. We've made mistakes and our leaders have become corrupted. And it happens in the course of history to all nations, I think. And that's why our founders wrote such a dynamic document as the U.S. Constitution, because it can help us throw off the yoke of these oppressive, foreign-controlled leaders who have lied and cheated their way into their positions through bribery, blackmail, and manipulation of information. So, as a nation, we need to put our faith back in God and try to recover our institutions. But I think as Christians, we just need to focus on our families, on our communities, and focus on the Word. And have lots of children. And if we do that, the future will take care of itself. I've seen that with my Amish friends. In the last 2 weeks, I went out to Pennsylvania and had dinner with an Amish family who I've known for a few years now. And we tabernacled with them last year, not this year, but last year. And that taught me an incredible lesson of how much I love my own home and how grateful I am that God blessed me with such a beautiful place. I really am thankful for that. And I sometimes imagine like this bedroom that I've built for myself, which I spend too much time in the winter, is like if I could imagine, like if God gave me a heavenly bedroom, it would look like this, so how blessed am I that I get to be in such a great space. The cold weather I could do without, so I'm going to be spending my winter with my children in Mexico. And what I'm doing in Mexico is I'm building a place where I grow chickens, raise animals, have fish, and grow food on my land, because I do think the world as we know it is coming to an end. The supply chains, the global trade, the inexpensive energy is coming to a grinding halt. It may not last forever, but some of the damage that's being done to the global system right now, which is why we say, are Christians terrorists? Well, are we terrorizing the global system? No, but I'm not participating in it. I'm moving out to my own land. I'm growing my own food. I'm raising my kids with a biblical education and not sending them to these corrupt schools that promote GROOMING. I know there's certain keywords that they'll ban you for, so I'm trying to avoid those. I'm doing my best. At some point, I don't give a shit, because I am going to eventually upload all the stuff to Rumble, which seems to be a much more free speech-centered platform. YouTube, as far as I'm concerned, might as well be owned and run by the Chinese, because that's who Facebook, Google, Apple, all these corporations, the entertainment industry, the sports industry. Look at LeBron James. He's like, to Xi Jinping and the Chinese. I probably couldn't even say that. She made a sexual reference. But yeah, these people are awful. And it appears from the Biden laptop, the laptop from hell, that he was colluding with Walmart and China to actually create the sickness that that helped with the election infection. I don't know what to say. I'm like, I don't know what to say without being censored. I mean, what kind of effing communist country do we already live in where you have to be that careful about what you say? So thank you, Elon Musk, for bringing a little bit, I know it's not completely fixed yet, but a little bit of sensibility to the internet and social media with your free speech minded Twitter account. Again, I appreciate all you guys watching me. I'm going to end it short today. Most of you don't watch to the end anyways. My average view time is only 11 minutes, so I know there's only 1 or 2 of you that are seeing this. So hopefully one day, that's the one cool thing about the internet and this stuff lasting for so long in a public space, is that it may not catch on today or tomorrow, but if you are telling the truth, and I'm not any prophet, like when I say, oh, there's going to be earthquakes and big earthquakes, and it's going to blow your mind, and wars and rumors of wars, I'm not a prophet. I'm just telling you what's in the book, and I know it's true. And, people go, oh, well, what if the earth is 20 million years old? Maybe it is. I don't know. The Bible says it's a young earth, but there's evidence that shows there were advanced civilizations prior to the younger Dryas period. Maybe when they talk about the creation of the earth, they're talking about this modern world. I don't know. I don't know when this all went down. There's evidence for both a long, long old earth. There's some evidence for a new earth. All I know is the stories in here about my family are true, that these people really existed, that this is God's promise to give us a promised land, and that's really what the book is all about. Some people go, oh, well, you're a Zionist. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. Do you know what Zion means? It means refuge. And it really described your home, where your family was, the circle of tents that people lived in. Like when you're out in the fields with your sheep and shepherding, you can run into lions and bears and all sorts of dangerous people or animals that could kill you or steal your animals. And so when you come home to your family and feel the safety and love, that's Zion. So what is Zionism? I think it's building a refuge for the Jewish people, and that's why as a child I was always Israel, 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 and I love America. I don't put the Israeli flag up, but I love my people too. And I really had that come home to me also when I went to Temple Shalom here in Wheeling, West Virginia, because I was missing my friends and my culture from California. It had been a long time since I had been around a lot of Jewish people. And my buddy Josh Levine, I guess I can say he's a stoner. Everyone knows he's a stoner. He was going there, and I didn't know he went there. And I just wanted to give my kids the Passover experience, and I'm not going to do a Seder. And my grandma's dead. So I bought the tickets, and I took my kids to the Seder, and I see my friend Josh there. And then it made me feel more at home, and he introduced me to some people there, and I met these Jewish people. And they seem like my family. There's no real difference between our cultural experiences, the food we eat, some of the experiences our parents and grandparents, our family stories were very similar. So it's just a mentality of intelligence and kindness that goes in the Jewish culture that's very welcoming, that was very a refuge to me mentally, physically. My children really enjoyed it. We felt really at home there. We were really welcomed. And they were strangers, but they were my people. And so that was just a great feeling. And I really, even though I'm Christian now, I'm Christian Jew, I'm going to really focus on the Jewish holidays for my children going forward, so they get to experience some of our culture and the calendar that God blessed us with, the lunar calendar. And our day of rest. I think that's really important. I have been keeping the Sabbath for like a year and a half now, and not perfectly, and not like to some people's standards, but I haven't been working, I haven't been promoting, I haven't been selling for a year and a half on the Sabbath. I've just been trying to rest, think about God, and focus on my family. So, does that make me a terrorist? To some people, yes. So pick a side. It's either good or evil. It's either Jesus or the devil. And that's what it comes down to. Pick a side. Christians are terrorists. We terrorize the shit out of the globalists because we're not afraid. Have no fear. All these things are going to come to pass. It's going to be scary as shit in the next year. But put your faith in God. You're going to be all right. And even if you die, you're going to be all right. God bless you guys. Temple 420. Support us. Buy an NFT. I think they're super cheap. They're on OpenSea. And I don't think I've sold one yet. Or buy some hemp from us. Let me know if you need any hemp. Put a comment down below. I always forget to promote and do the business part of our temple. Anyway, God bless you guys. Take care. Thanks so much.